We know that cell phone reception on Maui has been a big problem since the wildfires broke out. So in a moment, I'm going to tell you action steps to take to conserve battery life on your cell phone. And if you're ever stuck in an emergency, ways that you can improve your cell phone reception. Here's what Sierra Levitt told us. She lives on Maui and she called KSL News Radio about the situation there.
Today, I'm back on West Side. That's where my home is. I'm 10 minutes from the fire. And there is little to no service. I'm currently in Napili Market parking lot, which has a Starlink satellite Wi-Fi that you can hook up to. And it also is one of the big hubs for supplies. So there's already people out here coming to get supplies for the day. There's already people out here receiving food for the day and shelter. It looks everywhere. There's just like big base camps, throughout West Maui for people to come for shelter and supplies and food. And thankfully, they have a couple Wi-Fi satellite stations set up for people to have communication.
Now let's hear from Earl Foote of Nexus IT. He's a tech guy and he's got great information, action steps to take to preserve battery life and also get better reception on your cell phone if you're ever stuck in an emergency.
I recommend that you always initially go into your battery management of your mobile device and put that mobile device in low power mode. That will shut down like background applications that typically use a lot of your data, a lot of your battery, and it'll make the battery of the phone last a lot longer.
Okay.
So rather than maybe 12 hours of battery life, you might get 3 or 4 days out of it without a charge.
Wow.
If you're in a situation where you don't have electricity and can't get a charge. Another thing to keep in mind, in the geographical area in which you live and reside, I totally recommend in your Maps application, always selecting the option for offline maps. And, so if you live in northern Utah, you can geofence the northern Utah area as an offline map. It will download that map to your mobile device so that you can actually access the map without any sort of signal. Otherwise, you would need internet to access. So
I want to blow through some more of these tips because you sent us a preview of them. Dave, what one stood out to you?
The emergency alerts. How do you enable those?
So you would go into your device settings. Of course, Apple and Android are a little bit different, but if you go into your settings and simply search emergency alerts, enable those so that particularly in an emergency situation, you're getting text messages or, pushed emergency alerts to your devices that will keep you up to date on the latest developments that are happening. That does, kind of bring me to one of the other, tips here, and that would be favor using text over phone calls in these type of situations when you have low signal or there's been an emergency and cell towers are out and it's tough to get any good reliable signal. Text messages will go out a lot easier, or you'll receive them a lot easier than actually being able to make phone calls. And at times, if you have a little bit of data signal, so if your phone shows like a 4G, 3G, 4G, 5G symbol up, generally it's on the top right-hand side. Applications like WhatsApp, Signal, or Telegram sometimes are even more reliable at getting, messages or text messages out. Or receiving them than conventional text messages. That's not always the case, but it's always something to try. So I would, and the most popular is WhatsApp. I would recommend, having a WhatsApp account and having it on your phone. If you travel extensively, it's a very good, app to have for staying in contact with, any of your loved ones or friends and family and that kind of stuff as well.
Earl, we have about 60 seconds left. Your tips have been phenomenal. We know so many people on Maui are discovering that their cell phones aren't working or weren't working because of obvious reasons. You have on your list of tips location sharing. I love this because I feel like I could look at my loved one's location if they're sharing it with me and see, if they're moving around, it would give me peace of mind. But why do you have it on your list?
Yeah, I know plenty of families that use this all the time, and especially with minors, and that's certainly a great practice. But in an emergency situation, making sure that your loved ones know where you're at in case the situation is evolving and develops. Or let's say that you may be potentially lost in the mountains and you have a little bit of signal but not a lot, and you can't really get text or phone calls out. Sharing that location, of course, can help people understand where you're at, get help to you if needed. In an emergency situation, going into your Maps application and enabling that location sharing with a few very close people to you certainly can make the difference if you're in a challenging situation, so that they can get emergency responders to you if necessary.
KSL News Radio is raising funds for people on Maui. So if you can give $5, $10, $15, please click on kslnewsradio.com, and on the upper left-hand side of the page there is a yellow button where you can donate, and 100% of your donation goes directly to help people in Maui.